The LA Chargers aren't letting Justin Herbert play to his maximum potential, and it's killing their offense. When thinking of a 6'6" tank with arguably the best arm strength in the league, you wouldn't design an offense to attack exclusively underneath, right? Well, that's exactly what they've done. Joe Lombardi is running the Drew Brees quick-hitting underneath offense he learned in New Orleans, and he's reducing his quarterback from superstar to mid. Last year, Herbert's average depth of target, which is how far down the field on average he throws, was 7.6, which ranked 18th. And this year, that slid all the way to just 6.2, which is 32nd. The man with maybe the best deep ball in the game has been reduced to the checkdown charger. So, how did this happen? Well, the team was constructed philosophically to attack short through and through. Lombardi brought this quick-hitting underneath scheme to the Chargers, yes, but before we dive into scheme, we have to talk about the personnel, because these guys have literally zero speed. Besides undrafted receiver Jalen Guyton's 4.39 40 time, who, by the way, tore his ACL in September, the Chargers' collection of skill players don't feature anybody who runs faster than a 4.48. They have no long speed to stretch defenses over the top. Using Keenan Allen to stretch defenses deep is not going to get it done, and Josh Palmer doesn't have great speed to stretch them out over the middle. On top of that, the offensive line has been bad, especially after losing Rashawn Slater to injury. They just simply can't hold up in protection, so Herbert doesn't have time to let routes develop, and even when he does, they can't get open deep due to their lack of speed. Because of this, defenses use cover 3 zone against him more than anybody in the NFL, which is a coverage designed to defend the run instead of the pass. Since there's just one deep safety in cover 3 with the other in the box, so he can't be a second deep safety, offenses have more room to attack deep down the field since there is more space, but the Chargers don't. Herbert has the lowest average depth of target against cover 3 zone in the entire league, despite defenses pretty much daring him to beat them deep. The personnel is bad, but teams with much less are doing much more. Before we dive into the real problem, their philosophical coaching issues, I want to thank this week's sponsor, Upside. Everybody knows that inflation has been rising, and everything is costing more and more money. Gas, groceries, restaurants have been killing me, which is why I'm glad I found Upside. Their easy-to-use app helps you get money back when you go out and spend money, so you can counter inflation by getting the extra money you spend but right back into your wallet. It's crazy easy. I can just go to restaurants or wherever. Gas in California has been literally like $6 a gallon. I can just claim an offer on Upside, check in on the app, pay with my credit or debit card, and then they pay me money. Upside users earn more than $1 million every week, so if you want to save money and battle inflation, all you gotta do is download the free Upside app and use promo code Rollins to get 25 cents or more back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's 25 cents or more back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code Rollins. Philosophically, Lombardi's scheme is all about attacking underneath with efficient, high percentage passes so his offense can methodically march its way down the field. Sean Payton and Drew Brees were elite at executing this philosophy, since Payton was a master at scheming offenses and perfecting every little tiny detail to maximize efficiency, while Brees could carry out everything Payton asked him to do with hyper precision. The Chargers have their Drew Brees, but they without a doubt do not have their Sean Payton. To execute the old Saints offense, you need that meticulous attention to detail, and Lombardi just doesn't have it. Receivers aren't in the right spot way too often, so these simple concepts turn into incomplete passes, which puts them even further behind the chains. Then they have to punt the ball away. Thanks to shoddy play design by Lombardi, sometimes Herbert's feet aren't synced up when his receivers are coming open, so he's geared up ready to throw before anybody is even looking at him. This is a high-low concept, meaning there are two receivers trying to stretch one defender vertically. They have this quick glance route with an underneath running back, and Herbert will read this linebacker to determine who he should throw to. However, instead of taking a longer drop, he takes this little quickened 3-step drop, the glance isn't open, and he progresses all the way outside to the checkdown since the play is fundamentally screwed up. The nuts and bolts of how Lombardi designs his concepts are at times just not functionable. But even when they're right, over time, his philosophy just doesn't translate to success. The Chargers love putting an isolated receiver to one side to run thunder routes, which is a route that converts based on how the defender is positioned. Typically, Mike Williams will sell go for 6 yards and then turn back, but there are contingencies. If they're playing cloud coverage, like in cover 2 zone with the corner playing the flat and jamming, Williams runs to the hole of the sideline, and if it's press man like it is here, he runs a stop at 8 yards. It works a lot for the Chargers, but for every other team in the NFL, if teams have their superstar like Mike Willie outside, they'll convert more of these to fades to create some bigger plays down the field. I mean, that is what Williams' specialty is, but whether it's him or Josh Palmer running Thunder, it's basically just curl after curl after curl, which is another one of my issues with Lombardi. He is all about utilizing stationary concepts where his receivers aren't moving away from a defender, instead of crossers or horizontal routes where his receivers can get some yak. He loves stick concepts more than anybody, which is a flat route and a quick outbreaker that can sit down in coverage. There's nothing wrong with running stick, but the Chargers run it literally more than anybody, and it's just a low ceiling play that never translates into big gains. This is right after a first down run for 3 yards, and look at each receiver. Once they run their routes, their backs are to the end zone, they aren't moving away from a defender, so there's limited yards after the catch opportunities, and if they do catch it, they are still 3 yards in front of the sticks. The ceiling on this play is really just 5 yards, so you're not giving yourself the opportunity to get the first down. And then on 3rd and 2, they can't complete the pass on mesh, and they have to punt the ball away. This happens way too often with them, and also allows defenses to play them differently, knowing they won't get beat deep. Shorter concepts don't have much of a contingency plan if the initial look gets covered, which makes it harder if defenses are able to trick you. Quick game concepts where the QB takes 1, 2, or 3 steps means that receivers' routes are designed to come open at the top of that quicker drop like we just talked about, so if everyone is coming open super quick, there aren't any longer developing routes. Knowing shorter stuff is literally all the Chargers run, Atlanta drops 8 and floods all the underneath windows, and there are no other options for Herbert to throw to. Pre-snap reads are often a crucial element in quick game concepts, where before the snap, the QB has to anticipate what the defense will do after the snap, then pick a side to target, since he doesn't have enough time to read the whole field. That can get him into trouble when the defense rotates and changes the look post-snap. They're again running stick with the flat routes, and the Cardinals are showing a 3-deep cover 3 zone. Against cover 3, where the corners are playing deep thirds, the quick flat routes in stick are gimmies since the corners are playing way off. Herbert sees the apex defender is tucked way inside, so he can't really buzz out to the flat to cover the route, but the Cardinals roll into Tampa 2 zone where the corner doesn't need to run deep, Herbert has nowhere else to throw, and takes the sack. I'm not going to completely absolve him from any blame at all. I do think he's either become gun-shy because the offensive line is horrible, maybe Lombardi has osmosis Jonesed him into just wanting to hit checkdowns all the time, but he still leaves a lot of throws on the field that certainly aren't layups, but for the Chargers to have more verticality to stress the defense in all areas, he definitely needs to push the ball down the field into tighter windows more often. Still, he's playing at a high level despite everything that's gone wrong around him. In do-or-die moments where they literally can't throw little stick concepts and checkdowns, he shows out. But what's frustrating about this offense is he has to make really hard plays all the time. The Cardinals have an excellent tendency breaker on here to screw with the Chargers' pass protection. With just 5 blockers, the Chargers slide their line to the left to get another body on J.J. Watt, which leaves a manned-up one-on-one on Jonathan Kedbetter and Marcus Golden. At the snap, Tanner Vallejo fake rushes. He's actually covering Austin Eckler, but as 5-man pass protection rules state, you always have to block the most dangerous rusher, aka whichever 2 are coming inside. When Vallejo pretends to come, the guard and tackle squeeze down inside, leaving Golden free off the edge, but instead of Herbert panicking, when he's really supposed to be reading the safety rotations right at the snap, he just drifts back and makes a hell of a frickin' throw. The Chargers offense is weird. A couple of stats I just have to throw out there. Herbert has the 36th ranked ADOT when kept clean without pressure, and his ADOT is dead last when he's not blitzed. I mean, it's insane. When there's no pressure and no extra rushers coming, he still is checking the ball down and not trying to destroy teams with his elite arm. They've basically put training wheels on their generationally talented quarterback, and it makes almost no sense. They don't have the speed at receiver to create vertical space as easily as other teams, and their offensive line has had a few injuries, but the Chargers are not getting nearly enough out of their offense and quarterback, and I think it falls on Joe Lombardi. Philosophically, he doesn't want to push the ball deep and wants to live underneath, which is incredibly short-sighted given the talent he has at the most important position. Honestly, I'm very confident he is going to get fired in the offseason, but as of right now, they have a 34% chance to make the playoffs, so they are without a doubt still in it. Justin Herbert is him and has already overcome a lot before. Can he break free of Lombardi's BSery, hold the ball longer, rip that thing in there, and lead the Chargers to the playoffs?